we are to Nate is talking now.
Okay. So this is my third presentation about ease. With ease, I think everyone gets the point, gets it at this point that I'm presenting with it or not. All right. So this is the ease website, right? And so, you know, a few days ago, I was like, hey, I'm running Google Analytics on that. I should, check that once, a year or something. And so it doesn't actually look that impressive. But went from this it is 3 and 7 to 961 in one day. And well, I'm just kind of like, what? And so I went to the where traffic source is and the refers, and I found out that this blog, OMG Ubuntu, wrote this article about ease. They're kind of dumb sometimes, the things that they say, but whatever. And the comments are great. The OMG Ubuntu comments. So it's 10%.
But it's not too dumb, right? So
in the Linux community, they're often looked down on.
But some of the comments they knew about Glide, and they said
that was one of the funny ones. So comments are about there are a few that are ease is great, and there are a few this is trash, and then there were a few ease bug reports reported to the OMG Ubuntu comment section. And then the vast majority of it was talking about whether apt-get or Ubuntu Software Center was better. But yeah, it's interesting, and I actually did some more searches, and there's other people posting it on Twitter and their own blogs and stuff. So it's kind of cool. And hopefully I'll get another article when I do the next release, which should be shortly. So I haven't been doing as much. There's not as much obvious progress recently because some things are hard. Before I was doing things like adding shapes and stuff, and that was pretty easy. You just draw a shape. Now I'm doing things that are harder. So okay, the first thing is thanks to Tim for fixing some build issues.
It's only half fixed.
Parallel make? Alright. Two more. Alright, so the first big thing is that I killed the biggest bug in ease, which is that the mouse offset bug was 20 pixels below. If you tried to click on anything, it would click 20 pixels below. That was obviously wrong, and I fixed that. So that was cool. I've also been working on a clutter-based icon view, so OpenGL and stuff, replacement for the GDK icon view. That's about halfway there. And that's about halfway there. There's no actual problems with it. There aren't any bugs in it. There's a few warnings that get printed out occasionally, but there's no problems with it. It's just missing features, like drag and drop and stuff. So I just have to implement those additional features to finish that. And then the text saga. So text in ease has always been bad because if you have a text box, you can set a single font for that text box and a single color, single font size. Which is obviously wrong. And there's no support for bullets and stuff, which I guess some people like in the presentations. So it had to go away eventually. And fixing the mouse offset bug happened to also break the text system, which was the built-in clutter text system. I had no idea why it broke, but I just decided I didn't care. And I just decided that it was the time to actually write the real text system for ease. So I sort of fixed it. And then I realized I was doing it wrong, because basically I'm using a library called Pango, which is the standard text rendering library, and there's a class in that called Pango layout. And I was using a single Pango layout when really I need to use a Pango layout for each paragraph and string them together. So it's complicated because you have to maintain a list of Pango attributes, which is the color, the font stuff. And you typically give a layout that, and it has a start index and an end index for each attribute. And so I need to have that, but I need to stretch it across several ones. So I need to basically maintain a centralized one, and then from that, whenever I make a change, generate the changes in all of the sub ones. So I'm still halfway there, and working on selection, text selection. This is hard. Writing GUI stuff from scratch is actually kind of difficult. So I'm about halfway done fixing that again from the part that sort of worked. And then the third thing is the automatic JSON serialization. Ease uses a JSON-based file format. There's a file called document.json, and then there's a folder called media, which has all of your movies, PDF documents, images, whatever you're embedding. And that'll get stuck in a tarball. It's the file format. And so I've been using like manual writing to JSON. So like if you want to implement like a new type of element for ease, like when I want to do the text thing, I would have to rewrite like the text serializer because it's different. So the way that the text gets written to a file. And it's a lot of work, and especially trying to support like plugins requiring people to write like manual JSON serialization code is just kind of lame. So I've been working on trying to do it automatically. And basically I have a serializable interface, which is optional. And if you implement that, you get some extra features, like you can say what things you want to exclude from serialization. And other than that, it just runs down the properties of the object, which is a GObject concept, and takes the properties and just writes them to a file. And it'll recur, well, not recursively really, but it'll serialize sub-GObjects of GObjects and GObjects and GObjects. It works with collections too, so you get like a JSON array for something like that. You have to do that sort of manually though. Yeah, so that works great, running into a file. Getting it back in, not so much. So that's where I am with that. And yeah, sort of trying to do like things that would be really trivial in Python in Vala, which is just C. So GObject facilitates a lot of that, but it's still kind of tricky. All right, so the future of ease. I'm going to do like a presenter view, which is going to be really easy to do. So it'll just be like mirrored on your display. You'll have like the upcoming slides, you can have like presenter notes and things like that. That's really easy. Actual awareness of multiple displays. Right now I have no idea how ease actually chooses what monitor it's going to present on. It might just be whatever monitor the presentation window is on, I guess. So yeah, making that actually like be aware that you have multiple displays plugged in. Right now I actually have my laptop display disabled because there aren't as many vertical pixels and it will just break everything. Because there's only 640 vertical pixels on that. It's just 768 here, it'll break everything. So having to be able to have a present view over there that's 640 tall and the real presentation over here would be good. Maybe plugins I'm sort of working on that, but I sort of like decided to put that off until the major bugs got fixed. And then the final thing is states, actions, builds. I'm not sure what it's going to be. If you ever use Keynote, I don't know if you can do this in PowerPoint. You can have things like fly on in PowerPoint, but I don't know if you can move them around.
You can do arbitrary animation in PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah. So like just like the way I'm going to do it in ease is you can add a new state to your slide and then remove things, add things, scale things, move things around, all that stuff. And when you press enter to go to the next slide, instead of going to the next slide, it will do, until you run out of states, it'll animate between your states depending on the amount of time you specify for the state. So that's a new feature as opposed to a fix. And that's it. Thanks to Sean O'Sullivan and Morthy and everyone here for doing this.
I have the eternal question that I will ask.
Yeah.
Of course, I have to do that myself, I think. LaTeX support.
I will not put LaTeX support in ease by default because LaTeX is huge. Like installing LaTeX is like a gig. So I don't consider that okay. But it could be like when the plugin thing lands. And obviously you can just use PDF LaTeX and embed a PDF if you feel like it. But I would, yeah. But that's a lot of work. Yeah. So, but you could easily write a plugin that calls out to PDF LaTeX and renders a PDF and then puts it in, wraps all of that nicely in like an actual LaTeX presentation element. Yeah. So you can get there, but I'm not going to put that in the actual ease core code because of the dependency issue.
So I guess I'm a little bit confused at why you started all the way from scratch. Like, I mean, OpenOffice does all this stuff. It just has a bad interface, right? Was that the argument to start with? I mean,
OpenOffice is fundamentally a cross-platform application, and Ease is specifically not cross-platform. It's specifically tailored to GNOME. You can sort of build it on Mac OS, and I guess you could run it on KDE. But I just don't see OpenOffice ever fixing that problem. They don't use GTK, which is just not okay if you're going to be a GNOME application, and they're never going to. And yeah.
I think the biggest problem with that is that there is no like libopenoffice. It's not abstracted well. inside of OpenOffice itself. So it would be an incredible amount
so
of
I
work
can't use
to
any of the like
actually
OpenOffice
reuse their stuff.
code because you'd have to just. I guess I could just like take it.
The other thing is, like, for example, like the PowerPoint file format is kind of modeled off the internal data structures of PowerPoint, and so OpenOffice is kind of modeled off the internal data structures of PowerPoint. So it's kind of just not a nice.
Yeah, people always talk about the file format thing, and like ODP is really complicated. I don't find it that interesting, and for my use case, it's not there. Like when I make a presentation, I make a presentation and I present it, and I don't really need to. If I need to send it to someone, I would never send an editable file anyway. I would send a PDF, because like everyone can open PDFs, and assuming that people have software is bad. Yeah.
So first of all, I've never really heard this argument before that people don't like open office. It's very strange. No, I wanted to ask you about. So Ease sounds like really like it's moving really fast. You're working on this presenter view and stuff like that.
I'm not actually working on that. That's in the future. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Where do you see the future of the project going with regards to? You mentioned yesterday in your open source software practices, libs, core, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where do you see it moving? Is your goal that it would be packaged with GNOME, or that it would be an Impress or whatever the OpenOffice thing is, an Impress replacement?
Yeah. I didn't really mean it necessarily as an Impress replacement. I meant it more as a there's no keynote on Linux thing. Yeah, I don't really think Impress is a good thing to copy anywhere. Well, obviously there are similarities. The things that are shared between Keynote and Impress, those are the things that we should have. But I guess with regards to like GNOME, they don't really do applications anymore. They have like an application set, but they don't like do applications as core modules anymore. So yeah.
And then also, are you familiar with Keynote Magic Move?
Yeah, that's the one with
like you can
you put things on 2
and,
slides. Yeah.
Are you thinking about implementing? That's like my favorite feature of Keynote. It's like really awesome.
I guess I don't really see the advantage of that over just using states. Like if you want something to move and other things to appear, then just delete all the things and then put new things.
Right.
That's like a really kind of niche. Like it's not a big feature.
It also like came in really, really late in Keynote. So
yeah.
you can push that off.
Yeah. I'm gonna put that off until after like text works. So things like that. Yeah.
So I'm trying to envision this like state thing. Is it like if you use Flash, is it going to be like sort of key based like that, where you've got these frames that?
Yeah, but not like nowhere near as complex. Basically, what it'll be is so over here. This is the slide inspector pane, right?
Right.
So down here there'll be a thing that's called states, and there'll be like you'll have a list of states, right? Like a list of states, and maybe at the bottom or the top you'll have like an add and remove state button.
Alright.
And so when you add a state, it shows up in the list, and if you click on it, well, nothing changes. But then if you move, if I take this and drag it over here, and then I go back and click back to my first state, this will move back there. And then when I give a presentation, and I go to the next slide, it won't go to the next slide, it'll go to the next state, and this will animate over here. And like so you could set, and like if I delete this, then this will fade out or something.
Right. So then like slides are just collections of states.
Yeah, and most slides would obviously just be one state, but I don't know if that would actually run the slide inspector pane. It might get its own actually. Probably.
Okay.
Nick, how did you prepare this slide if the text is broken?
Oh, this is Ease 0.4. This is the most recent stable release. So stable. So yeah. So this still has the offset.